know what a career pathway is? It's kind of a trick question. Nobody does. It's a made-up saying. It's a made-up saying by, I don't even know, the education industry and possibly somebody in HR. I really don't know. But the reason why I say it's a made-up saying is that it really never existed prior to 1960. And the reason why career pathways became a thing is because education became more formal. Like if you learned Excel, your next step was going to be to learn Excel this or whatever. Like they needed a structure to say how your knowledge and skills were developing and what proficiencies you were gaining to get to this expert level. And then on the opposite side of the world, the HR function of organizations was saying, hey, if you've done, your your associate level, then in order for you to have gone to this career hierarchy of promotion, you needed to be able to demonstrate these proficiencies in the work assignments or expectations of the job. Now, what education was defining as a pathway and what jobs in HR have been providing as a pathway don't talk to each other, at least not until people work. And why didn't they talk to each other? That's a different video for a different time. But the question is really, are career pathways relevant even today, let alone further into the future? My opinion is that no, they're not going to be. And this is why. My personal career did not follow a pathway. I did not follow a structured stepping stone in my career, nor did I follow it in education. Here's an example. I was in high school, traditional high school. I ended up going to an advanced special high school program for my sophomore and junior year. The academic model of that sophomore and junior year was nowhere near the traditional model of education, saying you needed to spend 1 hour in a classroom, and in that classroom you were going to do this curriculum, and this curriculum was going to test you and what your skills were going to be. Instead, this model was very much independent and individually driven. I need to know as the teacher, are you able to understand functioning geometry? And however you get to that path out of these 15 assignments, you pick your assignments and then you demonstrate your proficiency. In that learning model, I did not follow I learned this function of geometry first, and then I developed my third or fourth level of geometry, and now, of course, I'm an expert at geometry. Heck no, my brain doesn't even work that way. So in my learning environment that allowed me to thrive, was one that allowed me to go from here to here to here to here, and it wasn't a pathway. What did that yield? I graduated a year ahead of my traditional class, and I graduated my first out of my family for college 2 years ahead. So by the time I was 21, I had already achieved a bachelor's degree, where most of my counterparts who followed a traditional work path model, education curriculum model, we're still 2 years away from achieving that same goal. My professional career, I am so blessed to be led by people who didn't think that thing was a thing. Like, yes, I understand you have to do pay structures and like the way of the 80s and the 90s, if you follow what's in the band. I get that, HR people, so don't freak out. We'll have a different video about the way that pay and skill structure. Actually, I think we might already have one. Go check out our YouTube channel to find out more. But the point is, in my career, I didn't get a promotion from beginner to 2 years later. I went to a more advanced hierarchy, and then I got a promotion. I was told these are the things I have to do in order to be seen successfully and as a competent contributor to my organization. And I did it, and I ran with it. And thank goodness my organizations let me do that. So I achieved career success because of my attributes and my abilities and the organization's willingness to flex as consumers needed, what consumers needed for the business, as well as what I was willing to put on the table for them. So I never thought pathways were realistic. I don't think that they're functional. We have so many different use cases and studies where that's just not the case, whether it's in education or in our work environment. But what is the solution? Well, skills and making sure that education and those that are providing education, formal or not, and those that are offering employment, jobs, work, are speaking the same language about skills and how those skills get developed. You would be so surprised at how many times in people work that we have to educate people on how a company thinks about a skill versus the way the public thinks about a skill, and be the language translator between the two so that we get to a place of straight understanding about what is needed to do a job and to do a job well. Because after all, that really is the end game. If the end game is truly an informed and competent society that's employed and continuously employed as the future of work continually evolves, we better start learning how to speak a different language than career pathways. People Work, we're here to help you evolve with the future of work.